Hello and welcome to AFKast. I'm your host, Malcolm, and today I am kind of starting back up AFKast, and it has been a long time, and I honestly just needed a break for a while because school is getting stressful because I just started college, I've also started a job, and so I kind of just needed a break. I'm hoping to come back, though. I have started another podcast with a friend of mine, and we started talking about Marvel, and that is called Multiverse Assemble. So if you want to check that out, it is all about Marvel, both the comics and the MCU. But today I am back, and I'm going to be talking about Rainbow Six Siege because that was supposed to be the last part of a 4-part series that I did actually pretty much a year ago on the dot, I think. So basically we talked about Call of Duty, we talked about zombies, also Call of Duty, and then we also talked about Destiny, and Rainbow Six Siege was supposed to be the 4th episode, but it got corrupted. So today I'm actually going to be talking about it, just because I figured it was a good place to start back off. Next week, I'm going to have a way more, interesting topic, I guess is the best way to say it, at least in my opinion, because this was something that kind of came up recently, and so I really got into it, really got into the research, and I am still researching it though, so it is not ready. So I figured I'd do this. So yeah, so basically my problem with Rainbow Six Siege is, well, there's a lot of problems, but one of the main ones is just that they have, man, I don't know what the best way to put this is. I guess the best way to put this is that it has turned a lot into Call of Duty. And I know a lot of people are going to be very mad at me about that. But the tactical side of this game has really gone down. They've introduced a ton of stupid skins into the game. They have all the Battle Pass stuff, which is going on. And the Battle Pass isn't necessarily bad, but they've kind of, I don't know, just the more and more they add stuff like this, the more and more it feels like Call of Duty. And inherently, this isn't majorly terrible. Actually, the tactical side of the game going down is pretty bad. But the skins aren't necessarily bad. I have my own issues with skins in PvP games because I think they are a dumb idea. Because even Apex Legends is starting to run into this now, where there's a lot of skins that make characters look like other characters. There's a ton of that in Siege. And even in Apex as well. Siege is better with this, but Apex does this quite a bit, where they have skins that kind of go beyond just the basic skin, so that it looks like it has some things added on top of it, if that makes sense, like some more metal that's kind of been, I don't really know, melted on. I can't remember what the word is, but and that can block your vision, and yeah, it's a whole thing. One thing that I really liked was charms. I thought charms were really cool because they didn't really do anything, and they could mark stuff like what level you were in previous seasons, or they could show your, if you really love a certain pro team, you have that esports team as their charm, or if you are supporting a YouTuber or a streamer, then you'll have their insignia on your gun. I really like the charms. The charms are great because they don't hinder anything. But the gun skins don't even really either. They're just really, they're a little too flashy for me. But the real problem is the character skins, because the operators can sometimes look invisible. This wasn't a problem until, I believe, Parabellum, I think is what it was, that came out with a skin that basically just blended people in way too well. Oh no, Parabellum is when Villa came out. The one I'm thinking of is when Goyo came out, and they had Animaru, and they had the skin that would blend into Villa. So basically people were impossible to see on the staircases, and people would always get killed, or people would always get the kills if they were the ones on the stairs, or anything like that. And this has been a problem multiple times throughout different seasons. They have quote-unquote fixed them, but there's still obviously a ton of skins that blend in really well. And not to mention, the game in general has just been literally broken for a while, where there is just bad hit registration, which a lot of games have. That's not necessarily a huge issue, that because, I mean, it's a huge issue because all games have it, but in the sense that all games have it, it's not really something that is directed at Siege, if that makes sense. But they do have bad hit registration, which can be bad when lining up your shots. I mean, especially if you are holding your reticle directly at someone's head and you're waiting for them to peek around the corner. They come around the corner, you shoot, does nothing. And then you rewatch it, you shoot right as their head is in the middle of that reticle, and it did nothing. And so that sucks. That just sucks so much. And this isn't as much a problem with Call of Duty because Call of Duty is a little bit more faster paced. It's a little bit more like, respawn, die type of situation. So it's not as bad. But Rainbow Six Siege is all about knocking people out of the game and making sure, they can't come back. So the fact that you can hold the perfect angle and get someone, but not actually get them, really sucks. And another thing is that their updates for the game aren't really focused on making the game better anymore. They have kind of switched this recently. They have been improving the game once again, but there was this huge period of time where they just did nothing. They just kept changing the UI, or they added stuff that was broken on release, either broken OP or just broken, literally impossible to use, or they've made stuffs that way operators were impossible to use, or they made stuff so that way operators were overpowered. And another thing that they've done is when they're quote-unquote balancing the operators, they basically only balance operators to even out pick rates. They don't balance out operators ever to actually make them balanced. So, I feel bad because, some operators just aren't as popular as others, but they are balanced for the game. And so what happens is that those operators that are balanced for the game but maybe don't fit into as many strategies, or as many people just don't main them, or et cetera, then they're going to drop further down on the pick rate chart, which is fine. They're balanced, so it's okay that this is a thing. But then what Siege goes into, this was a huge thing when the Gone 6 came out. But what Siege goes and does is add the Gone 6 or take away or add whatever they wanted to for the operators in order to increase pick rates. So basically, they only added the Gone 6 in order to improve pick rates. They only removed frag grenades from people whose pick rates were too high. The only one that I think I agreed losing their frags was, who was it? I think it was either Buck or Dokkaebi, or maybe it was both. I don't know. But Dokkaebi, it fits her kit, but it was really powerful. But it's just sometimes there's just those things where it just doesn't make sense with the person's kit at all. There was, I believe it was Nook that got the Gone 6 when the Gone 6 came out. And the reason it was added was most likely because Nook's pick rate was really low, but it was actually a good thing for Nook to have. I mean, it actually fit her kit pretty well. It allowed her to get into places easier, and it actually worked kind of smoothly. But then they added stuff I think they gave it to Lion. And why? Why Lion? Lion doesn't fit their kit at all. It doesn't make them more balanced. All it is to increase the pick rate of Lion. Just a quick edit from future Malcolm editing this episode is that I'm actually talking about the reinforcement breach charge that was added to a lot of different operators. I'm not talking about the Gone 6 in this situation. I just kind of got the Gone 6 stuck in my head. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully that cleared it up. And it's just why? What does it matter if the pick rate is increased? As long as the operators are balanced, as long as your game is working properly, it should not matter. You don't do stuff just to increase the pick rate, because it's not like you're making more money by increasing the pick rate of operators. There's part of me that understands when games update something and get it out there so that way they can get more money. That's one thing, because they're greedy and they want more money, just that way they can quote unquote make the game better in the future. That's always their excuse, but in reality they just want more money. That is reasonable. I just don't understand why the developers have decided that anytime that they add something or take away stuff, they want to increase or decrease the pick rates to make them more evened out. they don't, the pick rates don't show who is more powerful and who is less powerful. What you do is you play test, you have people who are reporting to you, which for the most part, the community in Rainbow Six Siege is kind of just screaming random things at this point anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But you listen to the community, you figure out what is actually overpowered, you figure out what exactly isn't balanced, and you balance it out. Like, seriously, this is what happened to Overwatch. Overwatch also had this problem where they just wanted to increase or decrease the pick rates of people so that way they could see everyone in the game. And what happened is Overwatch became severely unbalanced. And that's one thing that they're really hoping to try and fix in OW2 is when it comes out, they want everything to be balanced and they want to keep things balanced. They don't want to try to focus on pick rates, which is a really good thing. But Rainbow Six Siege still has this problem, and they're going to continue doing it most likely until the game dies. I mean, the game has pretty much already died, but yeah, it's absurd. One problem that a lot of people also have that I don't have as much of a problem of because it actually supports my argument for what Rainbow Six Siege is doing, and that is the fact that they have decreased how many operators and how many maps and what map changes and stuff they do. So a lot of people have the problem with, only one operator every season. I think they are actually talking about changing it, or maybe they already have changed it. I haven't looked since the new Emerald map came out. But the Emerald map, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but that was the first map to come out in, I think, like a year or something like that. Maybe is it longer than that? I think it was a year. And it was right around a year since the last map actually released and wasn't like just updated. And it was a good thing, in my opinion, for them to focus their attention on trying to update maps instead of release more, because it's already overwhelming for a lot of people when they first get into Siege to have to learn all of these operators and then also have to learn all of these different maps. And so I think it was a good thing that they tried to focus on the maps. And at first it was good. At first they started coming out with decent reworks, but then they started to rework maps like House, Favela, and they didn't turn them into ranked-worthy maps. All they did was re-release them as casual maps, and then they weren't useful for ranked. And then people in the casual community were upset because they got their maps changed. And so it was a lose-lose situation. No one really won in that. It was basically just a new map at that point that was just casual. And so the whole point should be to make everything ranked worthy and everything ranked balanced. But once again, they didn't do it. I don't know why. I don't even know what their thought process was behind reworking House. A lot of people were already angry that they were reworking House because they wanted House to remain House. And a lot of people were excited because they're like, "Oh, cool, now House is going to be in ranked." And then it wasn't in ranked, so the ranked community was disappointed. And then when it came out, and then when it was out in casual, it wasn't the old House, so the casual community was. It's just a whole thing. And even the same thing happened with Favela as well. And I think a lot of people actually said Favela got worse, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, I needed that breather. Sorry. Rainbow Six Siege is very frustrating because it was such a good game. It has so much potential. I mean, even the last episode, Destiny 2's potential? That's how I feel about Rainbow Six Siege, is that there is so much there to do. And I'm even okay that Rainbow Six Siege started to lose their realism, because the whole point of Rainbow Six Siege was for it to be a tactical shooter, 5v5, bomb type thing, or, if you want to do hostage and stuff, which no one really does anyway. But that was the whole point of Rainbow Six Siege. And it just didn't... They haven't kept that up. So I know a lot of people are frustrated that Rainbow Six Siege is trying to be more futuristic. And this was a big thing, especially when Alibi came out, that people were complaining about. And I really don't see it as an issue. I think that they were still trying, at least, to keep their main mission of, having the game be tactical, have all of these different operators that do different things to change how the game can play, and it worked. But the problem that a lot of, yeah, just the problem that a lot of people have is it's more futuristic. And, I mean, if you want a really realistic game, then you have, like, Escape from Tarkov is a really good game. And I know, I'm pretty sure it's in beta right now, but there is a game that's very similar to Rainbow Six Siege where there's actually even, like, a generator that you can turn it off and you can have NVG and stuff. And that might be a good game for people to switch to as well. I'm sorry, I can't remember it offhand. I didn't write it down in my notes either. But that is also a very realistic and tactical game. And I think actually the generator idea was originally what was supposed to be in Rainbow Six Siege, where people could like take out a generator that could turn off all the lights and stuff. That would be a little too hard to add in now because everything's pretty cemented in Rainbow Six, but it would still be pretty cool. I'm also frustrated that nothing was really done for unranked and ranked. Because originally it was supposed to be that ranked, unranked, and casual are all supposed to be completely separate things. Ranked was supposed to be for people who really wanted to get their ranks up and really wanted to try hard at the game. Casual was for people who just wanted to play it like Call of Duty, who just wanted to have fun and screw around and whatnot, and yeah, that's you. Do whatever. And then unranked was for people who wanted to play seriously and either practice for rank or just play seriously without having to deal with casual or having to worry about rank, because a lot of people get stressed out about stuff like that. And so unranked was an amazing decision. Unranked is one of the best ideas that Siege has ever had. And it flopped. I mean, it didn't flop. A lot of people played it, but the idea of it flopped. I mean, when it first started to get played, it was played by the right audience. But slowly, of course, the casual community crept into it. And I don't know why, but maybe just because they had the ranked maps, but casual didn't. I don't know. But yeah, casual slowly crept in and completely changed the scene of unranked, and then unranked basically was just a second casual game mode. And I really wish it stayed separate. I mean, there's no real way that Ubisoft could have kept those two separate from each other. I mean, it's entirely up to who's playing to do that. I mean, even people now are starting to play ranked like it's casual, at least until you get like high platinum, and then at that point it's so tryhard that you just can't live. So it's not an enjoyable game for people who want to take it seriously, who haven't already also been playing it for years on end and are experienced enough to get up to platinum. And even grinding up to platinum is hell, because when the season first starts and you're trying to grind, you're going to have to go through all the elo hell stuff, and you're going to have to try to deal with all the people that are just playing it like casual. And so even then, just trying to get up to platinum is the worst thing ever. And then once you're at platinum, it's great. You know, it's wonderful. It's exactly how, that's not exactly how the game is meant to be played, but it's more like how the game is supposed to be played. And it's just, the game has gotten so toxic and it's gotten so casual that it just doesn't feel worth it to try to make the grind up to platinum so that you can just experience how you wished Siege was, if that makes sense. Because it's just like, I don't know. Just frankly, I don't understand how Rainbow Six Siege is enjoyable for you if you aren't playing it how it was quite literally made to be played. Because at that point, I feel like a better choice is just to play Call of Duty or another PvP game like Apex or something. Because that was quite literally made for running and gunning. It wasn't made for toxicity, but toxicity has always existed in Call of Duty. And, I mean, toxicity exists everywhere in PvP. But I just don't understand why it has to be so common, especially in Siege. Siege is a very toxic game. Probably not as toxic as, like, League of Legends. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure they deleted their chat just straight up, which is kind of sad. That's how bad it was. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Siege did the same thing. Or I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't care, to be honest. But to quote Teddy Roosevelt, is that complaining about a problem without posing a solution is called whining. And so I want to pose a solution. So, for instance, you can't just delete skins that you have put into the game. I mean, you can, but people would obviously be frustrated with this since they spent money on it. And this would also be a good solution in general, so a ranked isn't... I mean, actually, what they could do is make it so that you can't use skins in ranked. A lot of people would still be frustrated about this, but this is what they do in esports. They make it so that way the teams can't use skins because then it is easier to, identify who is who. I mean, even with smart pinging and stuff, it could still be confusing when you're turning a corner and suddenly you see this random thing turn the corner and you're like, is that Frost or Caveira? Like, I mean, neither of those two are ever played in Pro League, but still, it's that kind of thing. It's just like you don't fully understand. And so I wish they would do that for ranked, because that would also cause a lot of the casual community to leave ranked, to be honest with you. And that would be honestly great. And it would promote competitive gaming a lot more. And another solution is for them to update the game appropriately instead of trying to update the game according to one party or according to pick rates, because then the game would become more balanced. And in terms of maps, like, then they would just become more ranked worthy, and they won't be disappointing every community in Siege. House, sorry. Still have to point out House, because House is probably like one of the worst examples of something that Rainbow Six Siege has done, just because it was just a terrible decision. And also just Siege doesn't have to worry about changing the UI. I don't know why they changed the UI like 3 or 4 times in the span of half a year. Because, I mean, like, I get it. They want to try to improve Siege, but that shouldn't be the number one concern, is changing the UI. I mean, people have said, it all looks better. The UI is better. But the UI before worked. It wasn't unbalanced, and you did have all of these things that were broken in the game. Barricades have gotten a lot better, which is good, but barricades are still broken a lot of the time. Or reinforcements can even be broken, or just walls in general can just be broken, not just reinforced walls. But like, focus on those things instead of just worrying about like these random bits. Like, it always feels random to me what they're fixing, what they're changing. At least in Apex, you can kind of see that they are changing things. And I also saw, like, they don't always fix stuff. They sometimes only reach a balanced point for stuff years after something is released. So like Lion only ever got balanced out a few years after release. There have been plenty of guns that only got balanced a few years after release, like Ella's guns, and then they nerfed them more for some reason, even though they were already fine. And just don't do that. Just fix them right away. Just balance them out right away. Just hammer it out during the season that they've come out. I mean, now that they've put themselves in a ditch where they have so many things that they need to balance, that at this point they shouldn't even release new operators. They should just have another Operation Health. Well, they should have another Operation Health in the sense of fixing the game, and not another Operation Health in the sense of possibly ruining the game even further, like the original Operation Health did. But that would be good. It would be good for Siege. And I really just need them in general to try to lean the game back into the competitive, meticulous play that it used to be, instead of this pro run and gun format. But they have also done this like with updates to trap operators like Smoke, where a Finka boost will make you take more damage, which is a step in the right direction. Have some stuff hinder you more from just rushing in, and make trap operators better, so that way people can't just run in, because even with a cap can, people can just still sprint in the door with a Finka boost and just be fine. Just be okay. Just laser everyone down. And yeah, so I think I covered everything for how to fix the game, because I don't want people to just be like, oh, you're just complaining about the game. You're not really trying to provide anything. But yeah, it's hard, because Siege has dug themselves in such a big ditch at this point that they should either give up on the game. I mean, they released Rainbow Six Extraction, and Rainbow Six Extraction was actually a decent game. I mean, a lot of people didn't buy it just because of the state of Rainbow Six Siege. But yeah, they really need to. They need to focus on the important thing, maybe even do what Overwatch is doing and just fully restarting, just coming out with a brand new game. Maybe that's even, no, because then if I was about to say maybe make it free, but if they make it free, then they're going to do cosmetics again. But they need to make it realistic again. And I am actually putting together an episode about realism in video games, and I'm going to be talking most likely with someone else as well, a lot about Escape from Tarkov, because Escape from Tarkov right now is probably the most realistic. It is still being balanced. It's still in beta. They're still adding a ton of new things to make it more realistic, and like your gun can jam. Like that sounds so simple, but that's crazy. Like your gun can jam. And I know that would be frustrating, but that's just how the world works. And so it's one of those things where, actually, I'm not going to get into it because I want this all to be in the realistic episode. So just let me know if that is something that interests you. I mean, I'm coming out with it either way, but it would be nice to know that people are interested in hearing this episode. And it shouldn't be too long until it comes out. But I am putting it together. Next week, I am going to be talking about lore. I'm not going to go too much further into it besides just saying I'm going to be talking about Star Wars in general. So I'm going to be talking about lore and video games and it crossing over and everything like that into other media. And from there, you can probably mostly figure out what I'm going to be talking about, but especially the video game. But so look forward to that. Let me know your opinions about Rainbow Six Siege, because in my opinion, it's really gone downhill. I haven't done as much research on the present day state of Rainbow Six Siege. I have loosely followed it. Like I said, the most recent update that I looked at was whatever the Emerald map was that came out. I don't know why I can't remember what it's called, but the map was pretty good. From what I saw, it was actually a decent map and it had some interesting things in it. But I still think the state of the game is going downhill, and so I want people who have continued to play Rainbow Six Siege, because I quit like a year ago. I've played it every here and there just to see if it's better. Doesn't feel like it. But I want to know from people who have quit Siege. I want to know from people who haven't quit Siege, just what it's like right now. And I would even take people who try to play it competitively and people who try to play it like as a run and gun type format. I was about to say like Call of Duty, but then people would get mad at me. So I'm not going to say that. I just did. But doesn't matter. I hope you guys enjoy. Game on.